First Contact, a very unusual and original game based on a very well-known idea in recent gaming, to the point that you may see this game as a variant of Codenames, in which, however, the two teams do not speak the same language, and in fact they have to figure out how to communicate. So the game is usually played in teams, and the game is set in ancient Egypt when, as we all know, there were aliens like roaming around and talking to people and building pyramids. Because, of course, if we don't know how it was built, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it must have been aliens. So, one team here is going to be the aliens and one team the Earthlings. The aliens have interstellar travel and they came all the way here because they want to collect a hammer or shoes or a belt. They just don't have the stuff on their planet. They only have interstellar engines. The humans are going to try to bring those things to the aliens. So you're going to alternate turns. In one turn, you have the human turn in which the humans are trying to learn the language that the aliens speak, and then the aliens are taking a turn in which they're asking for stuff from the humans, and the humans are trying to bring them the right stuff. At the end of the game, you're going to have two winners, interestingly enough. A winner on the alien team and a winner on the human team. The alien that collected the most of the stuff that they need wins in that team, and the human that was able to bring the most correct stuff to the aliens is the winner of the human team. So it's interesting because these two teams are actually working cooperatively with one another, but competitively within themselves, because within each team you're only going to have one winner. Unless you play the game with two players. With two players, the game is different. You have one alien and one Earthling, and the game in that case is completely cooperative. You're just trying to collect as much stuff as possible. You have cards such as these ones with a B side and an A side, A basic, B advanced, and the B side is also used in the cooperative game, and they indicate the items that each alien wants to collect. You're going to have red, blue, and green alien, and those items marked here correspond to positions in a grid of 25 item cards that you put on the table in a random order at the beginning of the game. You have a nice stack of cards that those come from, and they're also double-sided, so a lot of subjects there. There's a screen behind which the aliens hide this thing, and behind which they also hide their grammar, their language. You have a stack of tiles like this, and they're also double-sided. They indicate which symbol corresponds to which meaning in the current game. In the current game, for example, if you want to express the idea of round, you're going to use this symbol. In this other game, that symbol, or that symbol, or that symbol. So as you can see, different symbols scrambled around for different words from game to game. And these are the symbols that the aliens use to communicate and that the humans are trying to figure out. Now, each turn, you're going to have basically two players' turns. First, an Earthling turn in which the Earthling is trying to learn the language that the aliens speak. And then the aliens are going to request things, and then the humans, as part of that section of the turn, are going to try to give them stuff. And then you repeat like this until the aliens have, at least an alien has collected a certain number of things that they need. And at that point, you score and you see who did best within their team. So, for example, here, green alien is trying to collect these items here, which means the green alien is trying to collect the two items in the top left corner of the grid, the one in the bottom left corner, and so on and so forth. Now, first, the Earthling turn, in which the Earthlings will alternate trying to figure out symbols from the alien language. So each Earthling will select 1 to 5 cards and rotate them by 90 degrees, trying to create a pattern that the aliens will see. For example, here I select a rhino, giraffe, bull, turtle, and snake. Now the aliens look at their language and then try to figure out what is it that the human wants to know, what kind of concept the human is pointing to. Danger, maybe, but the turtle doesn't really seem dangerous. Probably alive. That's the thing that they all have in common. Big, again, the turtle not really big, the snake not really big, and so on and so forth. So probably the human is asking, how do you say alive? The aliens have a board, and on that board they write the symbol corresponding to the word that they think the aliens, the humans want to know. And the humans have, each human has a player aid, which corresponds to the alien grammar, just without the symbols. And the humans, each human privately says, I think that's how they say alive. And then the next Earthling goes and asks for another thing. And maybe this time I am saying bull. That's a little bit dangerous. And also melon and apple, hoping that these are not vegan aliens, and they know that I'm trying to figure out how to say food, and then the aliens hopefully will write that on their board. And so as a human, that's what I think. Of course, there can be some, you can totally have some catastrophic mistakes there, but that's the basic idea. So first the Earthlings are asking for stuff, and then the aliens are going to ask for stuff. So each alien actually is going to alternate asking for things here, based also on what you know the humans know. So for example, if I have bull on my, as one of the things that I'm asking for, this could be the right time, because I know they know how to say something alive and food. Of course, technically, apple and melon, etc., etc. But since we talked about alive, or we communicate alive with animals, I hope that they are thinking of an animal that can be eaten, and so maybe I'm pointing to bull. And this is how it goes. After a while, the humans will have their own grammar, or their own guess of the grammar, so the aliens can try to ask for different things. So for example, oh, I need to I wanna get gold. Gold is here, down there. I'm trying to communicate gold, so I'm looking around and I'm seeing, okay, solid, precious, where is it? And so on and so forth. So, but this is the general idea. The players alternate asking for, well, again, the humans are asking for meaning. Based on what the aliens think the humans know, then the aliens will alternate asking for stuff, and the humans will write down their offering. So for example, the alien asks for what we think is alive and food, and I want the aliens to know that I'm offering them the bull, and so I mark there the position of the bull on this one here. So the Earthlings show that, and that shows what they are offering. Each alien that gives, each human that gives the alien the right offering takes a token, and those tokens will be used to score points at the end of the game. And this is, in essence, how you play First Contact. So in these strange times of pandemic of summer 2020, I decided for the first time to try to have a friend over and have an in-person game event with someone who is not a family member. For months I've been playing with my daughters and my wives only, and with myself. So I had a single friend. We were sitting outside on a lawn table and sitting at opposite corners, wearing masks all the time. And so I was looking for games that did not require exchanging components. No card drafting, we don't have to touch the same stuff, we don't have to be close to each other, because we don't have to lean over the same board. First Contact turns out it's a great game that you can play in a fairly socially distant way. As long as everybody can look at the same grid, actually players can be sitting pretty far from each other. And so especially the cooperative version, one player only on each side, 2 players total, can work in times of social distancing. It worked that way. I'm not sick yet, so that is great. Actually, if all players have the same components, or they can see the same grid, you could play this game on Zoom, you can play it on webcam, you can play it at an actual socially distant situation, electronically mediated. So it's a great time for the time we live in. But in general, is it a good game? Yes, I like it. I like it very much. There's no doubt it's a Codenames variant, and that's the thing that worried me when I realized what the game was about. But then it turns out that the game really has a strong personality. It is really its own experience. You can see the progenitor, but then it is its own thing. Because the idea of having to learn the language creates all sorts of interesting problems, all sorts of interesting decisions. Of course, I'm figuring out the patterns as a human, as an earthling. I'm trying to ask you for certain things. And early on, it's easy, all round, alive, things like that. Then later in the game, when the basic foundation has been created, it becomes harder because to really distinguish the fine points that the alien needs to communicate and I need to understand, then there's a lot more work. So there's an interesting subtle element there because as the game progresses, also another worry that I had was that the game will become easier. The last couple of turns will be we're just talking, squiggly line, triangle, circle. In truth, actually, as your mastery of the made-up language increases, the difficulty does also. Because then you get into that last item and you just need that little bit of abstract thinking, which is very hard for the alien to communicate and for you to try to figure out. Also, later in the game, you realize you made some mistakes, and it's almost unavoidable because, oh my god, I got this, squiggly line, circle, boom, you communicate things and everything works, and all of a sudden the alien does something you have no idea what that would be, or the human does something like, what, and you both realize that early on you made some mistakes somewhere at some point, and maybe you got lucky for a turn or two. So there's an interesting element that the last concepts are harder to communicate because you probably start with the easiest ones, and you should, at least you have something to build upon. And then you realize that you have to go and revise what you were thinking, revise the guesses, figure out if the patterns that you created and you thought made sense could make sense in another way. Really fun, really interesting. It's literally mind games. I know what the person on the other side of the screen knows, so as the alien I'm building or what you ask me, but maybe there isn't anything that I'm interested in. So how can I figure out other ways of doing that? Different things are possible. Different things. I'm not going to spoil it to you because actually, as the alien and the Earthling, after a while, we figure out different ways of asking for different things, especially as the alien, or communicating different things. And discovering some of these shortcuts is going to be part of the fun of the game. But again, in general, you have all these other elements of guessing, reasoning, deducing, try to communicate. I think my opponent knows this, and I'll try to build upon it. And I'm wrong, so let's see where that goes. With all these games where communication is at the core, of course, then there's a creative element, there's a human element that comes across very strongly. And when people have those sort of like unexpected insights, that is, of course, some of the most rewarding and fun moments of the game. So First Contact, don't be put off by the similarities with Codenames because the game plays very differently, but most importantly, feels differently. I feel that at the end, my brain, the parts that were like sweaty and sore and that did all the hard work and the heavy lifting were not necessarily the same ones that I used during when I was playing Codenames. So there are similarities at the mechanical level, but as an experience, at least to me, it felt very different. I can't wait to have an actual game now so I can play the full game with two teams, but as a cooperative game, it also works very well. So First Contact, really solid, really fun game. Its own thing, not a clone of Codenames, at least from the point of view how the game actually plays and feels.